because I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to be able to welcome to the Bababa stage in the Towner, in Eastbourne, the one and only Dunstan Bruce.
Thanks. Oh yeah, when I did this in St. Leonard's, and the thing we did at first was just to check that everybody does actually know the song. There's anybody who doesn't know the song?
I'm not convinced my aunt does.
Really? So there's a few people who don't know the song. So should we sing the song really quickly?
Yes!
Okay, so should we start right to the beginning? What is it? Oh my god, I don't know the song. I'll just come in on the bit that I do. So he drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink, he drinks a lager drink, he drinks a cider drink. He sings the songs that remind him of the good times, he sings the songs that remind him of the better times. Oh, Danny boy, Danny boy, Danny boy, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down. Okay, that'll do.
Yay!
Okay, thank you. I should tell PRS about that we performed
Yes.
the song. Oh, no, it's PPL. It's PPL actually.
Oh, is it changed? Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Dunstan Bruce. I was in for about 25 years in Chumbawamba, who started in 1982. And this is what we all looked like back then. Just a bunch of scruffy anarcho-punks with really dodgy haircuts.
Which one are you?
Oh, that's a good point. There's this one. You see that shape there, shaved bit? It's like sort of a wide Mohican. There's some like plait things going on down the front there. So this is when we first started off. We were very serious about our politics and trying to do this thing where we combined our anarchist politics with music. But as you can see from this, it didn't look like it was very much fun. A lot of very serious young people there. We used theatre a lot in what we did, so like we were really into Brecht and agitprop theatre, so we would be doing stuff like this. Downbeat with his telly on his head, probably pretending to be a newscaster. This was some sort of anti-war protest. Oops! Some sort of anti-war protest going on here. That's an action man that's daubed in red blood. That's how sophisticated our theatre was. And there's... Oh my god, look at that haircut there! That's like all some...
Ray Cyrus.
It's like it's a mullet basically, isn't it? Some sort of mullet thing going on there. Anyway, yes, so we were very serious, very into expressing all our politics through our music. As we progressed through the 80s, we sort of started introducing, having a bit more fun with what we were doing, and so we would come on as different characters. So there's Damba as Elvis. Alice used to come on as a nun with a bottle of whiskey and a cigarette. It was all very irreligious, obviously. There she is playing trumpet, dressed as a nun. So from about 1982 to 1996, we put out a lot of records. We were largely on, either had our own record label or were putting them out on small independent labels. We were very proud of the fact that we were very DIY in how we did it, and as you can see, there's a large selection of stuff there. But I think I missed one. Oh yeah, 1985. We put out our first single called Revolution. What was funny about this was that when we put this out, it was we got criticised really heavily by a lot of Chumbawamba fans for selling out. because we'd actually put out a record, and we hadn't put out a cassette. It wasn't on cassette, and so we got really hammered for that. And the fact that it was £1.20 caused a lot of problems with a lot of people. We had people come to gigs who would burn the single. We had someone who burned the single on stage in Dundee, and somebody sent us a dead sparrow in the post as a form of protest about the fact that we sold out. Anyway, I missed that one. Anyway, these are all the records we did, but we had a real problem with the press throughout all this time, because we were sort of fiercely independent. We didn't really bother with the press that much, but when they came and reviewed us, they really didn't like us. So we'd have stuff like this: old left rhetoric, smug self-righteousness, crapo songs, dreary announcements, clay-footed, dogmatic, straight-jacketed and earthbound. We tried, this is some people from Manic Street Preachers. We tried really hard to like Chumbawamba in the doldrums of '84, couldn't do it. It's just crap. Dour, dressing up as nuns and game show hosts isn't funny, just desperate. Steel Eye Span goes socialist worker folk rock. Ticky ticky time bombs, ultra crass chant-alongs. That's not that bad a description of us, actually. But we took it as a criticism. These are the paper was sort of a left-wing alternative newspaper that came out in Leeds in the 80s, and even they hated us. Another grisly piece of mucky grunge, nasty piece of prehistoric dinosaur post-crap rubbish. So as you can see, it wasn't going very well. At this point, we were on a label called One Little Indian. Now, One Little Indian were we had a very difficult relationship with them, because we'd done an album that was relatively successful, and then the next thing we did was something completely weird that didn't sell at all. So they weren't very happy with what we were doing. Anyway, we went away and made the album Tubthumper, which had Tubthumping on it. When we took it to One Little Indian, they said that they didn't like it. They thought it needed to be produced by somebody else, or we needed to go away and re-record the album. So we were furious, because we'd always done everything ourselves. So we decided to just leave. We left One Little Indian at that point, and took all our toys with us, and it meant that we had this album that we'd finished, but we didn't have any way of putting it out. So we had a couple of friends, Doug Smith and Eve Carr, who had managed the likes of Motorhead and Girls' School and Hawkwind and bands like that back in the 60s and 70s. They said that they would help us try and get a record deal. And so they sent out like a small 3-track thing to a lot of people in the industry to see if there was any interest. Anyway, there was. And that interest came from this man. Jonathan King. Yeah. So, Jonathan King absolutely loved Tubthumping. He really loved it, and he wanted to be involved. And he used to do this thing called Tip Sheet, which was this industry-only magazine, and he would have like a free CD with it every issue. And he used to put Tubthumping on the free CD every couple of weeks when it came out, to try and garner some interest in the record. And he came to meet us at a gig, and he wrote us this really long and slavering email, which has this bit in it: "You've worked long and hard enough, and you deserve to break. Now I think I could help make that happen. My advice is go on your gut feelings. If you think I'd make a good honorary 9th chumba, granddad chumba, then let me join you," etc., etc. Now, I mean, at the time, there was only rumours about Jonathan King. In retrospect, it seems really creepy to me that that's what was going on. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, Jonathan King did garner loads of interest for us, and he got us about, because of what he'd done, he got us about like 5 or 6 different record deals, one of which was from EMI. and it was Germany EMI as it happens, but it was EMI nonetheless. Now, what happened was we had to decide which record deal to sign, and the problem was that back in the 80s we'd appeared on a this is the album cover of an album called Fuck EMI. And we had to track, I think we did, it was bands doing cover versions, and I think we did Heartbreak Hotel as a cover version for this Fuck EMI album. So it just seemed really, really hypocritical and nonsensical if we then signed with EMI having appeared on this. So what did we do? We signed with EMI. So the reason we did sign with them actually was because weirdly, they gave us their conditions were they gave us the most freedom to decide what records we wanted to put out as singles, the artwork of all the records, and when we wanted to tour and all sorts of stuff like that. So we actually ended up going with EMI, and they released Tubthumping. And of course, it was released by Universal in America. It obviously went completely crazy for us and was massive all around the world, which was absolutely bonkers. So here's a few examples of what was going on. So there we are. Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know whether I'll talk about this later actually. We only ever got to number 2 with Tubthumping in the UK. And the reason that we never got to number 1 was because we'd been number 2 for about 3 weeks. And then the week we were going to get to number 1, it was us and, what's the Will Smith, the 2 guys who were in...
Men in Black?
Men in Black, yeah, it was Men in Black. And they were keeping us off number 1. And then the week where you get this thing where you get a midweek chart position, we were finally outselling them. And then in the middle of that week, Princess died in that car crash. And because of the words of the song, I get knocked down but I get up again, it got taken off all radio and TV, and we never, yeah. So, but as a bunch of anti-monarchists, I thought it was really ironic that it was, it was like a fuck you to us in there, so it served us right. That's some sort of karma, I guess. Anyway, so we'd go around the world playing, like festivals and meeting famous people. There we are. What I like about that, it looks like I'm going, oh, Robbie, leave me alone. Martine McCutcheon. Oh yeah, and this happened. Yeah, this is the one where I just have to leave it. So this is when we knew things were going well. So it had already been played in the Rovers Return in Coronation Street. And it had already been played in the Queen Vic on EastEnders. But then, this happened.
Chocolate drink, and when I have to pee, I use the kitchen sink. I sing the song that reminds me I'm a urinating guy.
That is our proudest moment. That's it. It can't get any better than that. And what's actually interesting about that as well is that is the only time we've ever let anybody change the words to the song. Because people have to use the song all the time, we get requests for it all the time. And quite often they want to change the words to something that's relevant to what they're trying to sell. But it was the only time we thought Homer could sing whatever he wanted. And that was, we were really pleased with that. Anyway, there were some moments that I'll never forget. Yeah, that's me and Dolly Parton. Yeah, there we are. It's me and Dolly Parton. Yeah. That's Dolly Parton, and that's me. Yeah. Me and Dolly Parton. Yeah. And Dolly Parton. That's enough of that. Anyway, this is, that was in Japan, where EMI Japan would always make you something really weird, and they made all these heads that was from the cover of the album. And yes, so there's the so that was the album cover. So you just get an idea of what it was. Yeah, so that's some. So it sold millions basically. It sold millions all around the world, but mostly in America, where the Universal were really clever with what they did in the marketing of it. Is that they released the single as a limited edition single, and then the only way you could get the song, which everybody wanted, was you had to buy the album. So we ended up selling millions of albums because everybody just wanted that one song. So, and this was in the age of this happened just before iTunes and buying music digitally. So everybody had to buy a physical copy. So it's back in the day where you did okay for that sort of thing. That's Japan EMI. Always, they were always very inventive with this stuff. Oh yeah, there's two kids, isn't there? Yeah. There we are with Jeremy Paxman. I'm just thinking where I'm going. Oh look, I brought in Di. I told you that Di story a little bit earlier, in the wrong order. So we had loads of press. We had loads of press. There was stuff all over, and these were 10. This sort of appeared in. I think this might have been the Daily Mirror actually. Some of these are true. Some of these are absolute rubbish. That we found. Yeah, actually, yeah. This is my favourite though. They shopped together at their local Tesco, and Tesco never once approached us for the song. Anyway, that's not actually true. I think. I can't remember what it was. We lived in Armley in West Leeds. There wouldn't have been a Tesco there. Tesco was too posh for Armley. I can say that because I'm right down south. Yeah. Anyway. That's a little thing about the. This is where we used to. So this is in Armley. This is the house we used to live in. This huge. We squatted that house. We found it completely empty in the early '80s. Are we getting on? Yes. So a lot of these things appeared because of one thing that we did, and that was at the Brits in 1998. So what happens? Oh, this might be this next one might be a little film as well, I think. So we played at the Brits. We were up for the best single of 1997, which was a people's vote, apparently. And so they asked us to play at the Brits, and after a lot of wrangling, we agreed we would do it. We weren't very happy about it, but we did it. There I am, because we were getting so much criticism. This is me here, wearing a t-shirt that says sold out. Because we got criticised so often about stuff like that, we just thought, let's just embrace it. Anyway, so what happened at the Brits was... Can I tell whether that's the...
I don't think it was.
No.
No.
No?
I don't think. Oh, is this?
Let's see if anything happens. Oh, no, it wasn't. Okay. So at the Brits, you might know a version of this, so I'll tell you my version. So we got asked before we played there whether we were going to do anything to cause trouble, and we were like, no, that's so predictable. Like people just expect us to do something. We were like, no, we're not going to do anything. That would be stupid. So when we got there, we'd gone with a couple of dockers, striking dockers. There was a dockers dispute going on in Liverpool at the time that received very little press because the previous May was when New Labour got into power. So they kind of quashed it in a way, and you didn't really hear much about it. And it was a big thing at the time. Anyway, we'd done quite a few benefit gigs for the Dockers, and we thought it'd be a really good idea that they'd come to the Brits with us, and if we won, best single of 1997, that they would go up and get the award, and they could say something about the strike that nobody was talking about. Anyway, we didn't win the award. All Saints won it, as a matter of fact. But what did happen is that the Dockers who were with us spotted that John Prescott was there. Sherry Blair was there as well. A few other, New Labour types were there. Anyway, the dockers told us that Prescott had turned his back on them and had refused to help them, even though he'd been a part of the union that they were a part of during years ago when he was, when he worked on ships or boats or something, didn't he? Yeah. Anyway, so we were. The thing with the Brits is that they just ply you with free drink. There's loads of free drink. So everybody was a little bit drunk, and we were like, usually what happens in Chumbawamba, if you're on tour, right, a lot of the time, being on tour is really boring a lot of the time. It's 23 hours of just hanging around and 1 hour of, when you go up on stage sort of thing. So you're always looking for stuff to do, or, like to pass the time around. And quite often, if we were really bored, we would just say, Dambert, what you got, Dambert, Dambert was like a performing monkey in a way. He was like really quiet, lovely man. He's a really lovely man. But he's really quiet, but you could get him to do anything. So when we were at the Brits, we were like, Dambert, what are you going to do? Prescott's there. So Dambert went over, got a big ice bucket, stood on a table, chucked the ice bucket on John Prescott and said, this is for the Liverpool Dockers. And then got arrested. But what also happened was Alice was also, that's Alice there, enjoying the moment. So she'd chuck water over him as well, but she never got caught. And for years, Alice used to be really irritated by the fact that whenever Dambert talked about it, it was always like that he'd been the only one who'd done it because he got all the press. But she did say later that she was actually pleased that she didn't get caught because the amount of press that generated was crazy. So, I mean, that's quite tame, but it was stuff like this when it got really personal, which is brilliant, this. Mother says anarchist has explaining to do, which is just lovely. I do like the name Dan, but when he is at home, I think he likes to be called Nigel. I mean, that was his name. Is his name Nigel Hunter? But his stage name was Dambert No Bacon. Anyway, he got loads of. So Dambert just got hounded. You chumper. Oh yeah, look at that. Dambert's a bit of a toff. Yeah, they were obsessed with this thing that we were middle class. It was weird, and they did this thing about how could my Nigel do it? Oh, I've got it. Oh yeah, here it is. This is brilliant. This. Yeah, this is their obsession with us being like, Dambert went to a grammar school and he went to Leeds University and dropped out. But there was a bit, where is it? Oh yeah, it's up there. Look, they're smart, £80,000 home. I mean, that's it. I mean, no offence. Look at that, in capital letters. Teacher. Like that was like selling out or something. I mean, one of the most noble professions in the world. And he's like trying to make out that I was come from nice, safe middle class backgrounds. Anyway. Oh yeah, I love this. Yeah, not a squat. I love that article. For years after that, we just used to call Dambert Shambert all the time. It used to drive me mad. Anyway, this is what John Prescott tweeted when I'm at my Chumbawamba split by going out and buying their greatest hit album, which even I thought was quite funny actually. Even though his PA probably thought it up, I'm sure. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people on the left weren't happy about what we did to Prescott. That's Billy Bragg. He was Prescott, probably the only working class guy in the cabinet, being soaked by some twit in a kilt, whose real name is Nigel. Prescott is an easy target, but he had more right to be there than they did. Billy Bragg. What's weird about that? I mean, there's lots of things weird about that as far as I'm concerned. But what is also weird about that is we've done stuff with Billy Bragg over the years, and we never talk about that. It's really weird. It's like the elephant in the room. We never talk about the fact that he said that. I mean, now Chumbawamba doesn't exist, so it'll never be an issue again. Oh yeah, this is a 7-inch single that some people put out. Barefaced Hypocrisy sells records. The anti-Chumbawamba EP. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of hate as well around for Chumbawamba, but it's sort of, we sort of, this was like, I think Chumbawamba always had this philosophy that we didn't want to talk to, like the converted. We wanted to talk to the rest of the world. It was always our philosophy. So things like this, this would have only sold a few hundred. You can get it actually on eBay if you're interested. Oh, I've got a couple actually. I keep on buying it actually because I keep on giving it away to different people, so you can always pick one up. Anyway, what we did do with it, with having that position of of being really famous and really having all that success, was that it meant that we were like talking to the rest of the world, and that was a really brilliant position to be in. Because we'd spent years doing benefit gigs where you'd be raising, like £20 or £30 or a couple of £100 for, whatever organisation it was. We were now in a position where we could give organisations not only a voice, but we could give them money as well. And so we did this thing where, this is a thing about when General Motors asked to use the song in an advert. And so we talked to these two organisations. One was called Indomedia and one was called, is it in there? One was called Indomedia and one was called Court Watch, that's it. And Court Watch with this organisation monitored the bad practices of companies like General Motors. And Indomedia were an independent news source. And so we agreed for General Motors to use the advert. It was for the song for an advert, it was for a Pontiac car. And then we gave the money to these organisations, and so that's what we thought was a really good way of using the platform that we had. Because how often does anybody get that opportunity to talk to that many people or have that much influence or anything like that? So we tried to use it for good all the time. But the point at which I thought, and I think we maybe all thought that things took a turn for the worse, we were after all really one-hit wonders, was when this happened. I always forget to bring this, I should have brought this. I've got one of these, it's like a little tub-thumping gorilla, and it actually sings tub-thumping, and it goes like this. I get knocked down, but I get up again, you're never gonna keep me down. Anyway, at that point I think, and it was for sale in somewhere like Walmart in the US, and I think at that point we thought, actually, maybe this has gone too far. And we sort of shot ourselves in the foot in a way, and we never had another hit single. The record company dropped us. We disappeared and went back into an alternative underground scene where the band continued in various forms till about 2012 or 15 or something, I think. It turned into an acoustic thing and they carried on for years and years and years. And that's about it. The end. Okay, excellent.